about them Irish?
I can't take it anymore. I need a national championship.
This is the Four Horsemen podcast.
And we are back. A new era, an intro we'll never do again. The Four Horsemen podcast. This is a familiar voice. Season 1, part of Season 2. P-Wagon's at the helm today. I'm here with Steve. Dylan is being very studious right now and finishing up his exams. So he left the two 30-year-olds in charge. So when the cat's away, the mice will play. And we have a whole lot to talk about since our last podcast.
Isn't it ironic that the most mature one of the group, like, just barely turned 21, and then you have two married 30-plus-year-olds, and we're just total complete fools and idiots?
We certainly are, and you know we're just here along for the ride, and we're gonna have some fun with it. The last time we actually spoke was on the eve of Marcus Freeman being signed as the new head coach of Notre Dame. We haven't done a podcast since, but we're back. We have a lot to talk about, and we hope you all enjoy the ride. If you are listening to this, I have a very happy Christmas season. If you don't celebrate Christmas, happy belated Hanukkah and future Kwanzaa. I don't know any other holidays, so we'll leave that.
Diwali was in October.
Okay, well, we won't get problematic here today. But really, just to start off the news that everyone's waiting for, Marcus Freeman's the head coach, Tommy Rees is the OC. We don't have a defensive coordinator. And what are your thoughts?
God, I love that, man. It feels good to finally be on a podcast to say officially that the head coach of the Notre Dame football team, of these Notre Dame fighting Irish, is Sir Marcus Freeman. I just anointed him as Sir. I have that power to do so. I love him. I love him with all my heart. On a serious note, I don't think that this guy has done anything wrong in his entire life. And I'm past like the joking parody and into like an actual real talk. Can anyone dig anything on this guy? Has he done anything wrong? The way that he talks is with such sincerity and just kindness and awesomeness. He connects with everyone. He tries. He takes accountability. He says all the right things. Man, if please, Lord above, on this in this season where your son was born, can you just do us a favor and just make sure that the man's performance as a coach and as a recruiter, as a head coach, is reflective of everything that we've seen so far? Because if that's the case, there's going to be a parade in South Bend. I don't know if they actually do parades for national titles in college. I'll throw a parade. I've never been to South Bend. I'm going. Once we win the national title, I'll go and I'll throw a parade by myself. So I love him. Coach Tom Rees, friend of the program, shout out Chick-fil-A. Very proud for him. He secured the bag. It seems like, a little bit of control is going to be relinquished from the head coaching position to Tommy. So hopefully we're going to end up seeing a lot more creativity and kind of, his own sort of spice that he wants to add to this program and this offense. And we can really see some explosion and some EPA just to, kind of cover our bases with Dylan and the analytics. And exciting time in South Bend. Marcus Freeman, I love you with all of my heart.
And he's a family guy. The interesting thing that you're seeing, everything that Notre Dame's putting out involves his family. His family, as Brian Kelly would say. you see that. You see in the video, the introductory video that he did. He was on FaceTime with one of his sons. I think Rocco is going to be the star of the family, the 3-year-old. Today, ND released a video. Rocco and his older son were in it as well. Every single thing he's doing is revolving around his family. We knew Coach Brian Kelly's wife, Packy, because she had a foundation, and that's all well and good. I'm glad she did. We knew about Grace, but like he didn't. It didn't seem like he prioritized that. He was a coach, and he was a businessman, and he was a salesman, and we knew that. But you're seeing a total 180 from who that person was to who Marcus Freeman is. And it's just a very interesting change. If you compare the two, just from what we've seen, Notre Dame's gotten cooler. They haven't done any of those stupid dances. The recruiting signing day, I was on the edge of my seat just because of how cool everything was. And I think it's just a big difference. Probably because he didn't play club football. Probably the answer there.
Shot.
And like, he knows what the players want to do. He's a player's coach. So it's hard. I don't even want to mutter that coach's name anymore, just because I don't care about him. Like, thank you for your service here. Goodbye. It's the Freeman era now.
For sure. And going back to kind of the players coach comment in his Players Tribune article that he wrote, which by the way was absolutely phenomenal. Fantastic. If you have not read it yet, just go to Google, type in Players Tribune, Marcus Freeman, enjoy yourself for 15 minutes or so. It's incredible. And he expounds upon the fact that he says, yes, I'm a player's coach in that, I'm going to be a guy that can connect and relate, and I'm going to be authentic with you. And we can yuck it up, so to speak. But also with part of being a player's coach is also being stern and demanding. And, you're challenging these young men to be all that they can be. If you're a 3-star guy that is a red-shirted junior, heading into next year, he's going to say, like, listen, facts of the matter are, there's recruits that are going to be coming in here that are probably going to be talented enough to beat you. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to just sit by and just, basically play all 4 years on special teams and the bench? Or are you going to work your ass off and do what you need to do to develop as a player on and off the field in order to earn a starting or contributory role? Right. So I think that's, hopefully an aspect that he brings, that he can light a fire, and we're prospectively going to be seeing in just about a week and a half time. How does he manage these guys, especially in the heat of war? Right. How is he going to manage them? And I think I'm hopeful and praying that everything that he's said and done so far as a coach and in the media, it indicates that he's really going to just have a great control over the guys, and he's going to be able to bring the best out of them. So I think that this is kind of the recipe for success going forward, where I don't think you're going to see big game laid eggs anymore. I just don't see it. I hope I'm not wrong. I hope I'm extremely correct. But is there anything else that you wanted to add on the topic in regards to Sir Marcus Freeman?
Yeah, it's really what we've seen on Twitter. Also, everyone's saying that Luke Fickell was the guy. Fuck you.
Huh.
Like that's it. That point blank period. Fuck you. Luke Fickell was never the guy.
If we wanted Luke Fickell, he would be the coach.
Yeah, like whatever. Sorry, God, I had to say my piece there. But like you're seeing on Twitter, people who weren't Notre Dame fans pre-Marcus are now coming out of the woodwork saying, "Oh, Notre Dame's cool now. I have to like Notre Dame. Who's this coach? Blah 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 blah." All this different stuff, and my Twitter was blowing up when I was retweeting stuff with Marcus Freeman in it, and you didn't see that with the former guy. People are going to watch Notre Dame now because they have a young, half African American, half Korean coach. And this isn't supposed to be a race thing or anything like that. But when you see something that is the antithesis of unfortunately what the college football ranks are, you're going to watch it. This is the second black coach Notre Dame's ever had, right?
That's correct. Yep.
I
Tyrone,
mean,
obviously, the first.
right. So you go Tyrone, Charlie, Brian Kelly, Marcus Freeman.
Correct.
One of those things is not like the other. And it's Marcus Freeman being 35 years old and the head coach of a program.
Mhm.
People are going to be more drawn to it, and there's going to be a bigger spotlight on him. His first game, technically, will be Ohio State. That's his alma mater. There's going to be so many eyes on him, and I think if he was a club football player, he wouldn't have been able to do it. But because he's been in the spotlight before, it's not going to be that different. So,
Agree for sure. And last point that I'll make about it is, and it's just to kind of emphasize yours, is yeah, there was a lot of people that I interact with regularly, just kind of friends and just people that I interact with on Twitter that I saw who normally will absolutely crap on Notre Dame and talk crap about them, both like openly on the timeline, and then also, like to me, like they'll say, just playful, comments and stuff, but some of it is, sometimes a little bit inappropriate, but everyone kind of overnight, just the perception of Notre Dame as an institution, as a team, it was exactly as you said. It's like, they're cool, they're relatable, they're likable. There's this likable team now, and yeah, I mean, we're coming on we're almost in year 33 now since the title, but we're absolutely back into relevance, and just everything is just trending in the right direction, and from the perspective to have people really start to like you and pay attention to you at least a little bit, and basically cheer you on, like Mina Kimes, one of the yep, she's a notable reporter that did tweet out like, oh wait, do I like Notre Dame now because she like quote tweeted a Marcus Freeman video. Like that's a big deal. Like that's going to bleed into Notre Dame being in the national conversation in sports talk media, and the more it's talked about, the more relevant we become, and the more in the ear of major recruits we get, and that's going to have a trickle down effect. Like everything right now is just trending so positively, and that's what's so exciting.
And even the very last point you can make here, when Brian Kelly came over to Notre Dame, he was hot off of the Cincinnati bowl game, and that was great. He came over. We were very excited to get him and all of that. But at the same time, there was always a cloud looming that most Notre Dame fans knew but never wanted to acknowledge in a public forum. There was always some type of bad news that followed him. I think the change that you will see will be the players who are Notre Dame men will stay around, and the players who don't want to be Notre Dame men will find other programs. So that I don't want to expound on that anymore. You all know the tragedies we're talking about here. There's always that cloud, and now that cloud's lifted. We don't have to defend a windy game anymore. We don't have to defend anything that asshole did. And now we're on to a new era with probably better coaches here.
Facts, and more facts. So just moving on here, I believe the next item on the agenda would just be to briefly touch upon Mr. Kyle Hamilton, otherwise known as God, small G, if I don't want to be sacrilegious, and then also one of my favorite players of all time, Mr. Kyron Hamilton. Kyron Williams. Wow, I believe. Whatever, I'm not going to go there. I'm just an idiot. Anyway, so Kyron and Kyle, it appears both elected to sit out the bowl game. Thoughts, feelings, commentary, message that you want to get to the masses, any of the above. Mr. Wagon, take it away, sir.
It happens. Jalen Smith got gravely injured in the Fiesta Bowl, and it affected his career. Jake Butt from that school in Ann Arbor, he tore his ACL, affected his career. It's not a college football playoff game. It's not the national final. it made sense. Like people getting mad at them and saying that they're abandoning their university. Kyle Hamilton hasn't played since week 6 after he probably got a phone call from someone saying, "Hey, pack it up. You're going top 5."
Yeah.
So whatever. I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss Kyron too. But there's other people to play. So
of course, yeah. I mean, DJ Brown has stepped up in a major way since week 6. He's been experienced. He's played some good teams. He's played well. So at the safety position, we know that nothing's really going to replace Kyle. I genuinely think he is probably going to go down as the best. I'm not going to say probably. I'm going to say definitively that Kyle Hamilton will go down as the best safety in Notre Dame history. And I think he's going to be absolutely incredible in the NFL. He's just everything about him is practically perfect. And so DJ is going to be able to cover the back end, hopefully. And then, we do know, obviously, at this point, just from seeing a handful of guys get some more, carries and time, that we have a deep running back room. Audric Estime is an absolute brick shithouse. He doesn't run around you, he runs through you, and then he taunts you as he does it. Like he's an animal, and he's obviously going to be the power back going forward. Logan Diggs, he can scat around, and then we have the speedster in Tyree. So there's plenty of talent to fill that role. And then also it's worth noting that the offensive line is also quite responsible for a lot of the success for a running back. So, if we can get the push that we hope to get, if the offensive line plays well, then our replacement backs should play well. Right. So I don't think we're too screwed in either direction. I do wish that, they would have played, but also at the end of the day, it is a decision, right? For these guys, it's intergenerational wealth where their grandkids will never have to, I don't want to say never have to work again, but they'll never have to, worry about money and live paycheck to paycheck. Like, unfortunately, a lot of people do. Right. So if you can, not play one game ever and then just pretty much guarantee yourself that you're going to be set up financially for the rest of your life, anybody makes that decision. If it's a, playoff game or a title game, maybe I have a little bit different feelings towards it, but in this case, I think it's totally valid, especially for Kyren. I mean, the average lifespan of a running back, lifespan in the NFL sense, is only 3 years in the league, right? So even if, we know Kyren is extraordinarily talented, he picks up blitzes like nobody else. And I think he is the best running back coming out of college. I think he should be a first-round pick. He'll probably be a second-round pick. He'll probably be the third or fourth running back off the board, but he's phenomenal. And for Kyren, he's looking at, 3, maybe 4 seasons. If running backs are lucky if they can get to their second contract in the NFL. That's just a sad fact of the matter. And I hope that Kyren has a 15-year career, and I hope he makes $150 million. Right. I hope he just makes an astronomical amount of money, and he just has a successful, healthy life. And that's all, he's starting his journey now. So good luck to both of them. Love them both. If anyone is sour about them leaving, you just put yourself in their shoes. I get that you have that one game to glory, but they are leaving knowing they have capable guys that are going to fill their spot. They have faith in their coach and their teammates and in the institution, and they're going to make a once in a lifetime decision for themselves. So best of luck. And that's all I have to say.
And, just kind of on a related note there, Shane Simon has also entered the transfer portal. There are rumors that a punter will also be entering. You heard it here first on the Four Horsemen podcast. Jay Bramblett looks like he'll be leaving Notre Dame, unfortunately.
We love you.
Love you, Jay. I will be following you to whatever school you go to. Don't worry about that. But really, with that, you're going to see a couple more. We lost Brendan Clark. He entered the portal early. He was a quarterback.
Old Dominion, I believe, right?
Something like that.
Litchfield Adjuvant.
Litchfield Adjuvant's gone, and they're going to play. They are going to play somewhere, and you have a wealth of riches. So it's always a good thing there. But kind of on the same boat, there was a rumor that Keaton Slovis from USC was contacted by Notre Dame, which is fine. Notre Dame should contact every player in the transfer portal. The issue that I have is that people are acting like Notre Dame needs a quarterback. Everything that has been said, oh, they're a quarterback away from a national championship. Have you seen Tyler Buckner? Have you seen TB12 play? Have you seen Drew Pine and the limited experience that he had play? And we're getting Steve Angeli from the best public or private high school in New Jersey. He's not a slouch. You have those three coming in. They're all fucking dudes. Why would you want to go get a Spencer Rattler who's a locker room C-word, or Keaton Slovis who just is a pussy? Like, you don't need any of those quarterbacks there. Grayson McCall's coming back to Coastal Carolina. That's great. You don't need a quarterback from the transfer portal at all. Period.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna take a quarterback from the transfer portal, I'd rather have someone come in as a backup. And if Drew Pine ends up transferring, because obviously it kind of looks like the keys of the kingdom will eventually be kind of turned over to TB12, and I certainly hope they do, and I think a lot of Irish Nation echoes the sentiment. Screw Keaton Slovis. I want nothing to do with him. He's a bum. He's a loser. He's never beat Notre Dame. He's been on 6-6 teams or worse his entire career.
Yep.
And I know there's a lot more systemic issues at hand. I just, love crapping on USC because I hate them. So screw USC, screw Keaton, and, whatever.
Now,
I mean, I hope he stays healthy, but I also hope he just, fizzles into nothingness.
So looking at the quarterbacks in the transfer portal, just real quick, let's have a little conversation about this. This might be the first time I'm ever on 24/7 Sports, by the way. Braxton Burmeister, formerly Miami, now Virginia Tech. He is leaving. Casey Thompson transferred Texas to TCU. I'm just going through names I know, not just like backups. Bo Nix to Oregon. That's a good one for him. Zach Calzada, the Texas A&M quarterback who beat Bama, he's transferring, and he has 3 years of eligibility. He is a 3-star. Maybe Notre Dame gives him a call and say, hey, come back up TB12. If you want to be a backup and get a degree.
Or, hey, compete for a spot. I don't think they'll tell him to back up, but compete for a spot. Yeah.
Then Indiana loses Michael Penix Jr. over to Washington. Quinn Ewers goes from Ohio State to Texas. He's going to suck. You see this, and Clemson's losing Tyson Famachan. He's a 3-star from Clemson. Immediate eligibility. He was a quarterback. Maybe you bring another dude in to compete, but you're already going to have 3 dudes in the room already. So I don't see any quarterback in here that really moves the needle for me. Jordan Yates would be the only one that moves the needle, which is weird for me to say. But he would be the one that really I look at saying, this could be interesting there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I'm not opposed, or it's not that I am opposed to a transfer. Kane Madden, he was a 4th-team All-American.
Yep.
This year, at least for Phil's.
Tommy DeVito went from Syracuse to Illinois. That's a good pickup for them.
For Illinois, yes, it is. So Kane Madden came in. Obviously, the big one is Jack Cohn, and a couple of years ago was Alohi Gilman, and then Nick McLeod. So there's been some guys that have come in and contributed. So I'm not opposed to guys coming in the right circumstances. I just think that Buckner, true freshman, he's going to be a true sophomore next year. He's going to be 19. He's going to be more mature. He's going to have a healthy knee. He's going to have a full at that point 18, almost 20 months on campus. Learning, the system under Tom Rees, there's continuity there under Rees's system, and I think he can be maximized. He's got hella unbelievable talent around him. So yeah, I mean, turn the keys over to TB12. Let the kid show that he had 5,000 all-purpose yards and over 50 touchdowns in the state of California as a sophomore for a reason. And then he tore his ACL his junior year, and then senior year he missed because of COVID. So let the kid cook. And he's such a weapon on the ground. He inherently opens up the running game, as we saw, with Jack Cohn, with lesser mobility. It did unfortunately stymie us a little bit earlier in the year, as we've talked about ad nauseum. But yeah, I mean, Tyler is so multidimensional. It's just, he is the guy. He truly is. So just give him the keys to the kingdom and just let him just sit back and watch. And I think he's going to impress everybody. So I'm all set with taking a transfer QB. Is, I guess, to wrap up my thoughts.
Yep, me too. No quarterbacks. And just kind of on the same wavelength there, while we're on the subject of people yelling on Twitter, this is more just a conversation for us, but I'm going to let everyone listen in on it because that's what they do. And they've been doing it for 70 something episodes. There are so many just weird Twitter accounts out there that's all that people just be normal. Like, there are so many accounts online right now that they're either overly excitable with every piece of news, or they're just so bitter about everything. It's like, yeah, we have an account. People don't understand that our account's run by 3 people. I got a DM because I was chirping on my account about the Horsemen for something, because really Victory Lap Irish Katie Bell's podcast. Sorry, Katie, you won't be listening to this far in. But Katie broke the news of Freeman's hire. I was saying how no one gave Katie respect, and then no one really gave us respect for that photo you put out of Touchdown Jesus lit up in green with the smokestack on it. And some guy DM'd the podcast account and was like, "What's this guy's issue?" I'm like, "Homie, that's me." So like, it's just weird, and people are weird on Twitter. We're weird on Twitter, but people just need to like be more normal. It's just a PSA. Just be normal.
Fair enough. I wholeheartedly agree. And yes,
I wanted to get it out there.
As you do follow us on Twitter, it is just absolutely 3 morons just having fun just for laughs.
But you can tell who's who on there.
You can.
If you listen to us enough, you can figure out who's tweeting what.
Exactly. You're the rascal. Dylan's the historian and the statistician. And
if you see an OU in there, it's Dylan.
Yep, correct. If you see any sort of weird Canadian spelling, that's Dylan. If you see an S where there's supposed to be a Z, that's Dylan. And what else? What do? I do the GIFs. I do the content, and I also just do random stupid things that make people mad all the time. But neither here nor there. On to the next topic. Me amigo.
Now you know. Let's talk about signing day. A couple last ND things, and we'll talk about Christmas. Signing day was super cool. We had a pretty big haul of individuals that signed with ND this time around. And Steve, since you're the signing day person, talk a little bit about what you know about the class that came in. Any surprises, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, it was cool to see Billy Shrouth come in. That we have left to right 5 offensive linemen that are going to be very talented, and they're going to push. Perhaps not in year 1 to make it their way into the starting role in the depth chart, but they're definitely going to be there for depth. And as we saw this year, it's open. Anyone who can fill the role. Joe Alt was the lowest ranked tackle that we have, and now he's just an absolute animal monster on the left-hand side. And remember, we still have Blake Fisher, so maybe Fish comes back left and then Alt goes right, and who knows. But we finished with the 7th ranked class. We did end up losing Devin Moore. He flipped over to Florida. But all things considered, and we're going to go into significantly more detail here in coming weeks. We are going to have like a specific recruiting and signing day episode, and I've been doing a lot of work on that. Like we're talking spreadsheets, for a very that go on for days, right? So I'm just looking up the class here really quickly. Fill dead air.
Oh, yeah. While you're looking that up, we did sign Bryce McPherson, flipped him from Wake Forest. The most on-brand thing for this podcast is that a punter signed with Notre Dame when I was at Notre Dame, which is just really kind of funny. Bryce McPherson, he's a SIP star, sailor kicking punter, top punter in his class. We don't abide by the 24/7 thing. I saw someone saying, why we only signed a 2-star punter? Kid kicks it 70 yards down the field. His name is Turbo Foot. His dad also follows me now, so we're continuing that trend of me being creepy with the punter's parents. Tobias Merriweather signed. Already love his family as well. Eli Raridan, his dad played for Notre Dame.
He did just blow an ACL, so please get right soon. But we love you, Eli.
Tyson Ford signed, and then coming to our neck of the woods, your future neck of the woods, Jalen Sneed down in the Carolinas, and Ty Chan from Massachusetts.
Yeah, he's about 25 minutes from me. So
Ty Chan is a fucking huge human being, and he's only getting bigger. And it's scary to think that man can be that size. He's 6'5",
6'6", 300
now, 300 pounds old.
Yeah, he keeps growing. And Emil Wagner, who he was originally an Ohio State lean, then he was leaning Kentucky, and Kentucky had a very good class, so don't discount them. And now he finally flipped over to Notre Dame out of Dayton, Ohio. So that was kind of unexpected. He's pretty highly rated. He's the 12th highest rated offensive tackle and the best offensive lineman on the roster. But I guess if I were to just basically sum up the entire class in a couple of sentences or less, it's dominating front seven.
Yep.
And that's going to be on the when in terms of defense. I mean, the linebackers are going to be an absolute joke how good this linebacker class is between Burnham, Sneed, who let's see, Junior Tuihalamaka. And then also, I just want to give the shout out and not miss anything here. Who else? Am I losing my mind? Burnham, Sneed, Tuihalamaka. Oh, and Nolan Ziegler. Sorry. Yeah, and the trenches are going to be full on both sides of the ball. The offensive line, as I did highlight, is just going to be phenomenal. So we will go into extreme depth on that, but just wanted to say, hey, this is a really, really, really good class, and this is just the starting building block for Marcus Freeman, and we've seen from last year's class 2021 to this year's class 2022, the market increase and improvement that we've seen in the quality of player, and I think it's 2023 is projected to be just like an absolute joke. Like we're talking like historical, like the best class in Notre Dame history over the course of 100 and some odd years of football. So just get excited, and we will go into more depth pretty soon.
Now, there was some other news that happened on signing day. Deion Sanders flipped the number one recruit from Florida State to Jackson State, which is great for an HBCU to get the number one recruit. But there are some rumors that there is NIL money coming in to play. This is all alleged. Nothing is confirmed. They're saying Barstool backed up the Brinch truck for the guy as a Barstool athlete. Again, allegedly, nothing saying about that. It's all more of a jumping off point here. With Notre Dame's pull, with the name, image, likeness deals, with what Harrison Leonard's doing with our playbook, shout out our playbook, big news coming soon on that. What do you think, or I'll phrase this better, if Notre Dame had the chance to land a generational talent, but it was tied up in a name, image, likeness deal, let's say with NBC, would you be for that, or would you rather go with the number two option?
Oh man, that's hard. It has to be a balance, right? Because name, image, and likeness, it used to be that I could be outside the stadium, I could sell a T-shirt of Brady Quinn, I could sell 1,000 T-shirts, make myself $10,000 just using hypothetical numbers by selling a T-shirt of Brady Quinn, and then Brady Quinn goes onto the field he leads a come from behind victory against I think UCLA is one of the main games. That was a great game. Shark with the last second touchdown. Shout out my memory on that one. Let's go.
You know, I've never seen that full game. I was freshman in high school, and I had to go be the water boy at my high school football game, and I missed the end of it. And
Sad.
I've never seen the end of the game.
Sad.
Anyway, but you're selling T-shirts to Brady.
Yeah,
Quinn.
so I mean, so some guy outside the stadium could sell T-shirts, make himself $10,000, go watch the game and watch Brady Quinn in front of 80,000 people on national television, go play a great game and win, and then guess what Brady Quinn gets at that point in time? Absolutely nothing, right? So it should be that. If a player is extremely popular, think like a Johnny Manziel a couple of years ago, if he wants to sign autographs and someone says, hey, I'll give you $50 for an autograph, or, hey, I run a T-shirt company. How about this? I'll throw your face on a T-shirt, or we'll make one, and then we'll split the profits 50-50 or make some sort of deal. I don't see anything wrong with that whatsoever. These guys, it's your talent, it's your name, it's your image, your likeness, obviously, as the saying goes, and you should be able to profit off of that in a free market economy, of course, which I obviously support. But simultaneously, a $1.5 million deal, allegedly, backed by Barstool Sports, a mega conglomerate at this point with one of the largest gambling giants in the country in Penn National. That's when it starts to get into murky water. It's just like, oh, okay, who's going to cut me the biggest check? That's where I'm going to play football. I think that's antithetical to the kind of the spirit of the game. I think that recruiting wise, there has to be some sort of regulation in place. And I'm pretty hesitant when it comes to any sort of regulation. Again, free market guy, but at a certain point you have to make sure that you're protecting the integrity of the game and you got to protect the players in some aspect, right? They don't let them sell their soul, right? Because that eventually, if this goes off the rails unchecked, that someone is going to get into a bad situation. Yeah. And I don't want them to get into a bad situation where it's going to affect them or their family. So do I want them to make money? Yes. Make your money. Live a good life. 100%. But I think it has to happen after they've stepped on campus.
Now, I agree completely with that. Quinn Ewers is a case study right there. He got $1 million in NIL deals, and he reclassified at Ohio State to come out a year early. So he was a high school senior at Ohio State who made $1 million, and he didn't play. He played, 4 snaps, maybe? And now he's transferring to Texas. The unchecked potential of what NIL deals do, it's crazy. I'm in a lot of autograph collecting groups. I collect memorabilia. I'm currently staring at a picture of the Blue and Gold Illustrated that with Tyler Buckner's run on it. It says Holy Toledo. It's not signed, though. I think name, image, likeness shouldn't take effect until they're sophomores.
I'm okay with that because, again, these guys can leave early from college.
Yeah.
But it's also regulated to the point where you have to complete 3 years on campus.
Yeah.
So if you put those those guardrails in place, I think it does more to help protect the school, protect the people that are spending this money. Imagine you just spent $1 million as if you live in Columbus, Ohio, and you scrounged together $1 million for Quinn Ewers and the guy never played a fucking down. It's just like, what are we doing here? So yeah, I think there's definitely some validity to that.
The thing that made me say that, I was in a collecting group looking at someone doing an autograph, and it was like Gabe Rubio, who hasn't seen the field. He's a great guy, friend of the program. But people are buying autographs, and I get it, they're resellers, and they'll sell them on eBay and all that. But, Gabe Rubio hasn't really played. I just picked up a helmet from Logan Dids right before Kyron Williams' news came out. That's pretty cool, but I already had a feeling that it was going to happen. But there's these random players who are getting deals who may never see the field. It's fine. I just think if they don't manage it correctly, there's going to be a slipperier slope that's going to come into play. And you really just don't want to see that. You want to protect the players, but you also want to protect the interests of any university. We're not just talking about Notre Dame here. Just in general, you want to make sure college football is still college football and not just a business to do a year, get out, play professional, and then what now the NBA is.
Yeah.
So that's my little soapbox there.
No, I think it makes sense. You know, if we take a measured approach, if we're making sure that these guys get their due, but we're also doing so in an appropriate manner that's going to be in respect to all sides, I think that's a conversation that, as it makes its way into the national scene, you know, if everyone just like it isn't over exaggerating about it or just, you know, has their blinders on, if you can just have a nuanced take, I think you'll pretty much arrive at what we surmised.
Awesome. Well, that's what we have there. Now, I'm all good with football for right now. Stay tuned on Horsemen Pod for the annual bowl game hate week. It will start the Monday of bowl week and maybe even a Sunday if I'm feeling spicy. And we will go with the biggest manufactured hate for the Oklahoma State Cowboys that I can find. Last year got us in trouble with Alabama. So the goal this year, this is my New Year's resolution, is not to make it on a Reddit thread. So,
and to be abundantly clear, if you take our hate week tweets remotely seriously, fire yourself from a cannon into the sun. It's all just jokes. It's all just for the laughs. We love laughs.
They don't have internet in Oklahoma. They'll never hear this.
I'm talking for the ND, you know,
oh, yeah.
crowd that put us on ND Twitter. Oh, don't be these guys making an ACT joke.
Yeah, these fucking like people think everything on the internet is serious.
It's a big problem.
Again, it goes back to the Twitter accounts. Have fun. Nothing serious anymore. Anyway, we do have some fan questions. Speaking of the non-weird fans who are asking us questions, so let's go under there. The first one from Johnny, son of Gustav. Do you think Freeman will be able to break ND into the top recruiting echelon of SEC teams, the Ohio State University, Clemson, and now probably USC? USC is never going to be a top-tier institution ever again. It doesn't matter who the coach is. It could be Jesus Christ as their coach, and they're never going to be a top institution. Freeman will make them a top, probably one or two. Top five, definitely. 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think this is at least a top 5 program going forward recruiting. You know, the guy brings the juice. I mean, like we literally, I don't think people truly understand. We may have an Alabama-esque class next year for 2023. That's how good it projects to be. We may end up with the number 1 recruiting class in Notre Dame history and the number 1 class nationally next year. So yes, this guy brings it. He's not going to be out golfing in the summer. As much as I'm a golf addict, love the game. But if you're getting paid millions of dollars to get kids to come to your school to play good football, you better believe I'm skipping the course. Or maybe I'm only playing, you know, XYZ amount of times per week. You know, you could fit it in. And Jalen Sneed, 5-star prospect, said that he came to Notre Dame in spite of, you know, Brian Kelly coming. He said because, you know, Kelly was never really involved in his recruitment. He's from Hilton Head Island, one of my favorite places in the world. Do you know literally the one thing in the world that Hilton Head Island is famous for?
Kiowa Island Golf.
Kiowa is north of.
Well, they have
another island just north of Hilton Head, closer to Charleston.
Hilton Head has a golf course.
Hilton Head is closer to Savannah. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's literally just littered with golf courses. If Brian Kelly, if you love golfing that much, go and play a round of golf in Hilton Head Island and go recruit a 5-star linebacker. What planet am I on? Brian Kelly, guess where all of the best recruits in the nation are? California and the SEC territory. guess coincidentally where all of the best golf courses in the United States are. Let me think real hard about this one. Brian Kelly, if golf is that important to you, will you please just go recruit? What are we talking about? And just to come back full circle, Marcus Freeman, I love you so much because you actually get it, and you are going to get this recruiting up to par of where it needs to be for this institution. So that's where I land.
I agree. I'm going to leave that rant at that. We're not editing this podcast either. So
not a second.
Going live with all of this. So Benny, friend of the program, why does ND have a hard time in terms of winning a title? We get into the playoffs, but can't get over the hump and win the big games. Well, Benny, I know you're listening. We had a coach who didn't care. At the end of the day, he didn't care about Notre Dame. He cared about himself. He cared about breaking Rockman's record. At the end of the day, you're not going to play for a man where the players are just saying, "Oh, fuck it, whatever." That's what it comes down. Like, if you look at the games, they didn't have the fire in Bama 2012, Bama 2018, Clemson last year. There was no fire. They may have manufactured the fire, but there's a difference between looking at a player who's like, "Oh, whatever, we'll play. I have fire in my belly," and a player who will lay everything out for you. So,
and not only that, I also just think game prep just didn't seem to be there, right? It just felt like every big game we were always on our heels. I mean, yeah, we did beat Clemson at home last year. People forget that we beat the number one team in the nation. They shouldn't forget because we did it. But at the end of the day, DJ Ukulele, a true freshman, threw for over 450 yards and had 4 or 5 touchdowns and brought us to 2 overtimes. And he was just absolutely cutting up the defense. Mac Jones, a 3-star prospect. Mac was absolutely phenomenal in that season. It was just an RPO, quick hitter, slot, throw to Devonta Smith for 45 yards every single time. Yep. Just make an adjustment. What are we doing here? Yeah, and then a couple of years ago, it was Dante Vaughn just getting burned 4 or 5 times on a go route. Put a safety over the top to help him. So and then we're just running the ball into stacked boxes on 2nd and 9, trying to run the ball. It just never felt like we were in it and playing like it was the last game we were ever going to play. It always just felt like, we're going to come out and we're going to play as hard. We're going to play hard, but if we lose, it is what it is. We'll get them next year. So I just don't think that you're correct in that he psyched them. He got these guys prepared, mentally, and then also just from an X's and O's standpoint, it just didn't seem like Kelly had what it took, and hopefully that changes going forward.
And I totally agree with you on that. Going from there, people just kind of in our mentions, just in general, are really talking about how we didn't get the wide receiver we needed in the early signing period. Isn't there another one February? Chill out. It's fine. And the quote that really stuck with me is, if you rely on the portal too much, then you get stuck with receivers like Ben Skoranek. Steve? Ben Skoranek is an NFL football player. Ben Skoranek plays on Sundays. Ben Skoranek was a good wide receiver for Notre Dame. Where is this revisionist history that Ben Skoranek wasn't a good player coming? Where's that coming from? That's my question to you. People are crazy.
Yeah, I mean, would I like Ben Skoranek to be a Devonta Smith? Yes. Was Benny in his own right? Did he come in? Did he make plays? Did he, yes, correct. He made the plays. He had decent stats. He didn't really do anything particularly stupid. Didn't cost us any games. And there were some big time games where he stepped up and some big time moments. So Ben was good. I'll definitely sing his praises. He's playing on Sundays, as you mentioned. Do I want a 5-star absolute animal stud like Carnell Tate to be, for next year's class to come in and be a contributor as a true freshman? Yeah, absolutely. But at the end of the day, if we have to get somebody from the transfer portal and if they end up like Benny Sco, not going to be mad.
Yeah. So that's where we're at there. Those are the fan questions of the week. Really, the only other question that I have right now for you, or just the listeners out there, hypothetical. You have to pick one of these options. Marcus Freeman wins on the 1st. Goes undefeated. Loses in the college football playoff, the college football semifinal. Year 1. Or takes about 3 years before his guys are in there, and then he wins. Which one would you rather have?
Yeah, no, I'd rather just be in the playoff next year.
Okay.
Right, because if you have a full year of us going, to make the playoff, we're presumably at least 11-1 minimum, if not 12-0, with our monster schedule next year. Again, Clemson, in theory, revitalized USC, fuck them, and then obviously Columbus in the big, not the big house, but the horseshoe, which also screw the horseshoe and screw OSU, but. We have a tough schedule, and if it means that we're 11-1 or 12-0 next year, and even if we lose in the CFP semifinal, do you think that being a top 5 team, or in this case a top 4 team, for 15 weeks and then having a playoff appearance, and as a reminder, National Signing Day, early signing day, is December 15th, and the playoff games aren't played until New Year's, so you have a 16-day kind of difference there. Do you think that that's going to be beneficial for recruiting and for building the program for Marcus Freeman going forward? Or do you think that recruits are all of a sudden going to start dropping like flies when 16 days later they see us get beat on the big stage again? I mean, it's not ideal. I hate losing, don't get me wrong, but I'm taking that. I'm taking the best. I'm taking winning. I'm taking the opportunity to play in the big game, and I'm taking Marcus Freeman having more and more ammunition for him to fire off his recruiting gun, because the man just works magic. So that's my answer.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I do think that title, the window's not closing. The window's probably more open than it has been. I just want to see a title before I turn 40. So you got about 9 years and a couple of days, Marcus. So get on that, coach.
Facts. But that's the thing is I in that binary circumstance, just to be a little bit more nuanced, I think that a playoff loss next year means a national championship win eventually, just because he'll have too much momentum. He'll just have too good of recruiting, too good of talent, too good of everything going forward. So take the L in the short term and win in the long term is the theory here.
Awesome. I agree. So going from there, we're going to leave this with a nice little holiday, this or that. So Steve, take it away.
Oh man.
Or whatever you're doing over there. Some holiday thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was going to prepare for this. Didn't have an opportunity to, because I work in finance, specifically 401ks. And if you know anything about that, which I don't expect you to as a listener, year end is absolutely terrible, and I've been very busy. But we're flying by the seat of our pants.
I would feel that both of us work in finance, listeners. You're listening to what amounts to the bid short right now. Anyway,
I don't even know how to respond to that, because it's so hilariously different from what I do. But anyway, this or that, real tree or fake?
Real. Not my choice, wife's choice.
Wife's choice. Okay. We currently have a fake tree. I like the real tree, even though I'm deathly allergic, and it basically makes me a miserable piece of shit for an entire month. There's something about a real tree, the experience of going out there, cutting one down,
Fuck that. Cutting a tree down.
Yeah.
No, fuck you.
Man has to dominate nature.
Yeah.
You got to put it in its place every once in a while.
Well,
give it the old 1-2.
I haven't watered the tree in about a week and a half, so definitely a fire hazard. But at the same time, we went to a tree farm with my in-laws. And we're looking around. This was right after the Stanford game, before we knew what was going to happen. So we're just looking around. All the trees sucked. But then we saw the pre-cut one. So me and the missus walked over there, got a pre-cut tree at a tree farm you were supposed to cut your own trees down at. Saved $20. But no, cutting trees down are for the birds. So I am out on that.
Okay, cool. Next question. For the holiday dinner, Christmas dinner, because you and I are both, well, in theory, Catholics, and so are most of the people in listening. Just kind of given the obvious. So for Christmas dinner, roast beef or ham?
Neither.
Well, that kind of defeats the purpose of this or that. But
if I had to choose, it'd be ham, I guess. But I feel like the only people who eat roast beef on Christmas Eve are Who's from Whoville. But so we normally do Christmas. My mom's born on Christmas, so with that we do a Christmas Eve dinner for her. It's usually like ravioli. Sometimes it's a fish, but
7.
No, just one standard fish. We don't do all 7. We're half Italian. So I don't know what we're doing this year, but yeah, if I had to choose, it would be ham, but I normally don't do that.
Okay, let's get boozy.
Okay.
Mulled wine or spiked eggnog?
Got into my head eggnog, but like just because of the rum factor, I'm not a fan of either. I don't like drinking, which is surprising. I drink to. I only drink.
I drink to not feel things.
No, I drink to party. I don't just like. I won't just casually have a beer, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And your answer, eggnog or whatever mulled wine is. I feel like that's a Game of Thrones thing.
Potentially. I don't know. All right. Last question for this or that. Sledding or tubing?
Ooh. Tubing seems safer. I'm going to go with tubing.
Okay. I almost blew out my ACL when I was a younger kid. So I was like 5 years old. I was at Cranston Country Club, and there's that massive hill coming up 18. And so kids in the wintertime they go down. So I go down the hill. I laugh, hee hee ha ha hoo hoo, what 6-year-olds do. And then I stood up, and then I turned around, I went, bent down, picked up my sled, just the cheap plastic thing, and then I look up, and there's just kids just barrel assing, probably going like 30 miles an hour. Like Clark fucking Griswold, like when he sprays that saucer just flying. And yeah, he just like crushed me in the knee. But like, I don't know, I guess my reaction, I might have jumped in some capacity because I essentially scorpioned. Like I flipped right over my body and like, yeah, it was an insane scene. If it was on video and we submitted it to America's Funniest Home Videos, probably would have made it. And that's also probably one of the reasons why I am constantly in extreme pain, because my knees are killing me right now. Are there any additional this or that scenarios that you wanted to give, just a little holiday edition for the 4 Horsemen before we close it out?
Yes. Elf on a Shelf. You don't have a child yet, but you've heard of it. Elf on a Shelf or the pickle in the tree.
We are a pickle tree family.
We are as well.
And that's just because my wife's last name, or her old last name, was somewhat semi-correlated to a pickle, the name of a specific pickle. So it was just humorous that when I first met her and had our first Christmas together, that was actually the first time I learned of that tradition. So I'm going with the pickle, and you said you are as well?
Yeah, Elf on the Shelf creeps me out a little bit. It's just a little bit too much.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast today with a father who was talking about his experience with it, and he said now he's like his wife or significant other had he started writing letters to the kids, and now he has to start writing letters like with regularity, just saying like, hey, I saw you punch your sister the other day. You got to be a good boy. And if you do that once in a while, that's fun and cute. If you have to start writing a letter every single day for the entire month of December, that can be mortifying.
Yeah, let's just stop Elf on the Shelf. Just stop it. I don't know if we can start a movement on that, but like I'm anti, very anti. I'll hide all the pickles in the world, live pickles, fake pickles, any type of pickle in the tree. I'm fine with that, but like I don't need this whole otherworldly elf shit going on.
Fair enough.
And let's see. Oh yeah, last one. When you're decorating the house, do you light your house like Clark Griswold does? Or inflatable?
I will never have an inflatable. I'm a lights guy. It just feels right. It just feels natural. I don't know. The inflatables they are in theory easy. You just blow them up and let it fly. But I don't know. There's something about Christmas lights that do it for me. How about you?
I would rather an inflatable, but again, wife's choice, lights. But that's only because me at 250 some odd pounds had to climb across my roof to hang up the lights. So it doesn't work well. And I'm also afraid of heights. So I was on a roof hanging up the lights. It could have ended poorly.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
And to put a bow on it, get it, bow, Christmas, presents, gifts, boom. The moral of the story, whatever your wife says, you have to do.
Yes, indeed. And with that, that's all I got. We will
My
be
wife
back.
is telling me to come upstairs because it's time for bed. So
yes, me
thank
too.
you, everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, all the other sort of
Kwanzaa.
Yep, everything, the whole nine. Jesus, happy birthday. Shout out. Marcus Freeman. I will bury a body for you and tell nobody. I think we're going to try to get in one more episode just prior to the big game.
Yes.
Hopefully middle of next week or early next week would be somewhat ideal. Just kind of depends on a lot of things. But that's kind of my closing comments. Thank you, everybody. Excuse me. Thank you, everybody, so much for riding along with us. Last episode that we had doubled up everything that we've ever had. It was extremely, extremely successful, and obviously it was a wild time. So, there was a lot of likes. There was a lot of sharing. So if you can find it in your hearts to just go and just take 10 seconds out of your day, give us a 5-star review, give us some comments, even if the comments are derogatory and mean, as long as it's a 5-star review, we do love and appreciate you, and we'll ride with you guys into the new year here. So that's what my piece. How about you?
Yeah, well said. Other than that, Dylan, good luck in your finals if you are listening to this. And we'll be back. Notre Dame's not going anywhere. Hate Week is coming up. Bowl game is coming up. Notre Dame has not lost a game in 2022 ever. So remember that. Very important analytic there. So other than that, go Irish. I don't want to say beat Christmas because it'd be bad. But go Irish, win the holidays, and we'll catch you on the flip.
Bang.
All right.